Authentic, important conversations help us understand life and relationships better and make us feel connected. Those connections build a community where you belong because your contributions matter. That's why Shelley and Toby are bringing you news and views. Join us to explore ideas, news, opinions, experiences, and real-life stories. Live on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come chat about life with your friends. Why is there a table at our show? I don't like that.
Okay. Well, we'll do it in just a second. I feel like I caught you in the middle of something there.
I'm always in the middle of something, man.
Yeah. Say hi to our folks then, please.
Hello and welcome to News and Views with Shelley Carney and Toby Eunice. And we're here tonight to talk about all the things that Toby bought. Toby is having show and tell tonight.
I'm going to do show and tell from the artifacts that I purchased from San Lazaro, but I'm going to tell you why I purchased those artifacts from San Lazaro. I sound loud to myself, am I?
No.
Or am I just loud in my headphones?
You're just thinking aloud.
All right. I'm going to share another screen here that might show up, but I'll close it right away because you need to get started with the intro. Intro on your show flow.
What are we talking about tonight on the intro? I didn't have, let's see, what's going on in my life? Well, my mom came home on Saturday. So that's kind of one of the reasons we didn't have a show. The other reason is Toby was on somebody else's show. So we thought that was enough show for one day. Yeah. It's enough show and tell.
And that was a 2.5-hour show with Ben and Ashley and Jeremy.
That's enough show for anybody.
Yeah.
So we are here today, and it's Wednesday, and we're glad that you are here with us. How about that?
So do you want to tell people where they can sign up for the preview of your new course?
Oh, so I am building a new course, and in fact, my daughter is going through it today because she wants to start her own live stream podcast and blog that she wants to work on. And she was like, but how do I make it happen every week? What's kind of schedule do I need? What about this? What about that? And I said, hey, here, take a look at this course, and that's going to answer all of your questions. Now, the course isn't quite ready yet. So that's why I have people like my daughter going through it to tell me what they like and what they don't like. And when it is released, if you are on the early bird waiting list, you will get a special friends and family discount. So if you want to be on that waiting list and get that discount, go to course.livecast.life.
And I've put that course in the chat.
Yeah.
Course.livecast.life. I'm getting an echo. Hello.
Hello.
You know what it is? It's your microphone.
My microphone.
Yeah, well, it's a long story. Don't worry about it.
It'll
all be fixed when you're back home.
Everything will be better.
Everything will be better when you're back in New Mexico.
That's right.
Not that I regret you going to take care of your mom. I think that's important too.
And we want to say hello to all of our friends in the chat room. We have OK Larry. We have Hooley, Long Way to Tipperary, MJ Inzer. Wait, there we go.
Oh, great news about your mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Packer Jack, JK Pioneer, Mike N, Godelcon, and Ghost Answer Radio. Also, we have Brian Gates and Debbie Hoffman Jensen and Mary Green. It's good to see everybody. Oh, and Joe Sharon.
So, Brian, we're going to be showing some of those. Mike N says we sound okay on their end. So we're going to be taking a look at those pottery shards as well as the artifacts that are Spanish colonial in nature. So me make sure I'm in the right place here. Personal news. Oh, let's talk about the giveaway. So where are my giveaways?
We have a few different prizes, and we're going to do it the way we did it last week because that was so much fun.
So
We have
do you
a
want to?
fun little question we're going to ask people to think about and to answer at the end of the show. And it's just a personal story is what we're looking for. And you can win A Gypsy's Kiss, the book, or
Wait.
the Livecast Life book, or the holiday cooking book from Aunt Lucy, or the regular cooking book from Aunt Lucy. Lucy
And Lucy Delgado.
Delgado.
So I know there was a couple of comments about the emerald ring. No, it is not the emerald ring. It's just an emerald ring. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Aren't we fancy dancy?
Okay. Also, along with the whatever book you select, you'll get a copy of our Gypsy Schools
Postcards.
Treasure Hunt postcards, and you will get. Where did I put them?
Coins, treasure
You'll get,
coins.
the challenge coins, the AGK challenge coins with the AGK logo on the front, and on the back, the AGK coin has a treasure chest, and the
Magnolia.
treasure hunt has a magnolia, Mariah's
Right.
cash, we call it. This is the second to the last AGK coin. So this is the second. There's going to be one
wow.
more giveaway after that.
Wow.
So, and then it'll just be the Mariah's cash coins when we do giveaways.
What's going on there?
Okay. Can I take the show?
Yes.
What did MJ say?
I was just looking at the chat. It's kind of weird stuff going on in there.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of pinky rings. You can't actually tell the color.
Brian
It's a
Gates
nice,
says,
beautiful emerald.
I was lucky enough to get one of Forrest's pottery shards at the 2020 finale. News and views. I didn't get a chance to ask Forrest about any info on it. Sad face.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight because I think it's important that you have a context for the things that I'm going to be talking about. All right. I want to start. So let me start with the reasons why I chose to do this. All right. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for that, or did you have some more news stuff?
No, I'm just looking at the chat
Okay.
as you have requested.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just keep track of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose them. So when I saw the artifacts go on sale at the Hindman auction, I was really, really excited because I wanted to buy some things just to have them. And then when I saw that there were some artifacts of San Lazaro, I really wanted to have them. And here's part of the reason. So I'm going to add this to the stream right now. So this is a map of the area between Santa Fe and Bernalillo, where I live. Between Santa Fe, you can see here's I-25 right here, and over here is Santa Fe. And then right down here, the spot right here, is where the Pueblo is, right? The Pueblo, the ruins of the Pueblo de San Lazaro. And there's a way to get there. You can actually drive there if you ask Google how to direct you there. But here's something that was really important to me. This is, again, I-25. And right across on the other side of I-25 is something called El Rancho De Las Vorondrinas. And that was a ranch that was there from the early 1700s, probably around 1690. And I'm going to tell you why that's such an important date. To now. And several years ago, it was turned over to a nonprofit organization. So that's how they run it. I'm going to show you a little bit about that as well. But here's what's important about the El Rancho de las Golondrinas. It belonged to my great granduncle, Miguel, Capitan Miguel Delgado. And if you ever want to know more about him, you can listen to me talk about him for a couple of hours. Or if you ever find yourself in Santa Fe, you can go to the Spanish Colonial Art Museum. And they took his bedroom Yeah, just in situ, took the entire bedroom and moved it to the museum. So there's a room in the museum that was my 5G uncle Miguel Delgado. I don't know how to
He
put
was 5G before it was
it.
cool.
Yeah, he was
Chris Hurst
5G.
wants to know, who can you contact if you want to see the Pueblo?
Right now, they're not allowing anybody to see it because they're still excavating it. There are several, there is at least one school, two schools, one from New Mexico and one from Arizona, that have been chartered with continuing the excavation. And so they're not letting the public in. Now, I do know that there was a point where they had summer students coming in, or summer volunteers, mostly students, come in. I didn't see that announcement this summer. I don't know why. It could be pandemic related, or it could be that they're slowing down on the excavations because they're very expensive. And after it changed hands, they haven't been as active as Forrest was. But it's still out there, and there are still excavations going on. It's interesting because the east part, let me see, is that right? The east part of the Pueblo is actually on BLM property. So, but it's fenced. And you have to travel across private land to get to it. The west part of the Pueblo, which is the prehistoric part of the Pueblo, is on private land. And I'm looking for and I think I found the person who I can ask if they will allow me to fly a drone over it to take pictures and video. And the offer that I'm going to make to them is that if they let me do that, I'll share all the imagery that I collect when that happens. But I haven't gotten a response yet. So I do know who owns it. I do know who the property owner is, as well as who holds the title to it and who holds the mortgage to it. So I know all of those things, that I'm in contact with all of them. So if I do, my desire is to go. There was never any, in my opinion, if you look at the book The Secrets of San Lazaro, the photography was done by the aerial photography they had was with a plane, and a plane can't fly. It is illegal for an aircraft to fly lower than 500 feet. So that was the restriction, that was a constraint, and it was a plane and could do things. With a drone, with high resolution cameras, we can do a great deal more. So it is, Juli, it is Bradley Sather, but I'm hesitant to say he's running the show. He owns the property. He's the one that bought it from Forrest, but there's more activity going on that I think he's transferred the responsibility to someone else for. Okay. So the east side is available as long as the private property owner allows you to walk through. Well, it's more than a walk. It's a drive. On this map, it always makes it look smaller than it is. But let me zoom in. Oh, let me get back to my original point, and then I'll start answering questions. So here is El Rancho de las Vorondrinas. Here is the ruin at San Lazaro. That's 15 miles as the crow flies. So there's a part of me that wants to believe that maybe some of these artifacts, the Spanish colonial, the metal artifacts that were discovered at San Lazaro, were perhaps related somehow to El Rancho de las Vorondrinas and my uncle's property and my uncle's being there. So the two Hispanic sides of the family, well, two of the three Hispanic sides of the family arrived in 1690 with Don Diego de Vargas Zapata Luján Ponce de Leon. That was his full name. And they came as soldiers in his army for what turned out to be the peaceful reconquest of the tribes had revolted in 1680. All the Pueblo tribes had revolted. And eventually they shooed the Spanish out of Santa Fe down south again towards Mexico. And then in 1690, Don Diego de Vargas, that's what we celebrate Fiesta every year. De Vargas came back and brought with him some soldiers, and they call it the reconquest of the Santa Fe. It is the reconquest of Santa Fe. They call it the peaceful reconquest of Santa Fe because no shots were fired, no arrows were slung, et cetera, et cetera. They just negotiated a solution that everybody was happy with. But soon after that, the folks at San Lazaro moved west towards the Hopi land. They were Toba Indians, and they just didn't want to be around the Spanish, so they moved further west. And if you look at all the Native American tribes, that's what they continue to do. They moved from east to west until they couldn't go any further. But unfortunately, apparently, the residents of San Lazaro, when they moved to the Hopi, were a lot less strict about their behaviors. So men had multiple wives, wives had multiple husbands, boy went with boy, girl went with girl. So they were kind of a modern day version of Native America, of ourselves. But the Hopi are much more strict like that, so they tossed them out. And as a result, they dissolved. They probably didn't disappear completely. They just dissolved. But so my family is related because the Delgados and the Espinosas both arrived with De Vargas. The Perezes, who are from Arizona, arrived earlier. That was the one. That was the one that was a Comanchero, and that's why I've got that 12.5% Native American comes from that side of the family, the Perez side of the family. Okay, so I was going to zoom in for you here so you can see this. There is very little, right? So this part right here is the prehistoric or the historic part, right? Meaning there is history written about it by the Spanish. That's what they mean by historic. This area here is the prehistoric part. And I believe BLM land doesn't go along river plots like that. It's straight, east-west and north-south. So the BLM land apparently goes like this direction. And as you can see, the roads are on this side. And you can see how it kind of loops around here into this ranch right there and on towards the San Lazaro property. So you can get there with a road to this side, but that's private property. You can't get to here via a road. That's an arroyo. That's not a road. So again, you can get there, or you can just enjoy the pictures zoomed in by Google, because actually it's not too bad. All right. Then let's go back to Las Golondrinas. And golondrina is the Spanish word for swallow. El Rancho de las Golondrinas, the Swallows Ranch. Oops, let me go back up here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, because if you ever get to spend any time in Santa Fe, I strongly recommend that you visit Las Golondrinas. They're open from March 1st to October 31st. So this is the rancho here, and it was originally 200 acres, but it's spread out right now, and some of the buildings have been there since the 1700s as well. So these date back to the 1700s. This is now the office and administrative building right here, and then this is the shop, and there's a little tiny restaurant in there. And then these are all the outbuildings and corrals. They have sheep, and they're the funniest sheep. They're very good looking sheep. Like they look like a picture book version of sheep. But when you point a camera at them, they all go like that. They just stand in. They see the camera and they just stop whatever they're doing, and they hold the motion until the camera is not pointed at them anymore. Then down here, there's a little rio right here. You'll see this little river goes right through the property, all the way up through here. And then down here, let me see if I can find it on here. This little spot right there, that's the blacksmith shop. And I have a photo that I took of the blacksmith shop, the window from the inside. And we did a documentary that included, I think you were with me, right? When we shot in the blacksmith shop?
No.
No? Okay. Maybe that was one of the kids.
I think that was with Jason.
Oh, okay. So we did not a documentary. We did a show that's where That's when I first met you. So we did a 13-episode television program on 26 of the artists. And one of the artists that took up half of one of the shows was a blacksmith. And he asked us to come out and shoot him, do the B-roll for him he does the blacksmith work at San Lazaro. And it was one of the most beautiful places to shoot I've ever got to shoot. So if you ever get a chance, if you're ever in Santa Fe for more than a couple of days, and it is between March and October, make the time. It's just a few miles south and west of Santa Fe on I-25. You probably see the signs to it if you go from I-25 to Albuquerque. Willa Cather wrote a beautiful description of the ranch that in that area in her novel, Death Comes to the Archbishop, Any Connection? Well, other than the fact that she wrote about it, Death Comes to the Archbishop is actually about Archbishop Lamy. People around here say it. Pardon me?
Oh, is it? I said.
Yeah. People around here say Lamy. And there is a town by that name that the railroad comes through, Lamy. And that was where, at the end of A Gypsy's Kiss, I'm dropped off by in the train that I was on there at Lamy, but nobody says it that way. Yeah, I'm going to have to get in touch with you, Toby. I plan to go on vacation there sometime in the future. If you do, Chris, let us know, and I can get tickets to, not because I'm a Delgado, but because
you have money in your wallet.
Because I have money in my wallet, yeah. And I spend money with them. So the other thing about it is they schedule events. You can find them at golondrinas.org. I'm going to type that in there so you guys can. Golondrinas.org. So I'll put that in the chat room so you guys can share that. They have events all year long, and we're already past the first couple of them. I missed, let me see. The Herb and Lavender Festival is always really very neat. Didn't I take you to one of them there? Didn't we go to a wine festival there? Or was that in Bernalillo?
No, we went to the one in Bernalillo.
Yeah. And Balloon Fiesta? Did I take you to Balloon Fiesta? Wine festival?
Maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we might have
so there is they have an annual wine festival. Oops, I just did the picture. Oh, is that me? Yeah, son of a gun. And it's coming up. Unfortunately, it's going to be when I'm on the East Coast this year. But it's a fun festival. The wine festival is always a lot of fun. They have acts and entertainment. Later on in July, they'll have the Viva Mexico festival, Fiesta. And they celebrate, our relationship with Mexico. And there is beer to be had, Mexican beers. Fiesta de los Niños, I think, is in August. It used to be in August, let me see. September. So they have festivals all year long. The Renaissance, the Santa Fe Renaissance Festival is held there. And that's that one, I think, is also in September, mid-September. And people really dress up for that one. The Harvest Festival, and then on All Hallows Eve, they have the 4th annual Spirits of New Mexico's Past, and people dress up in muerto costumes, in muerto paint. So it has a lot of things going on, and it's a beautiful place to visit. These are some of the older. These were the ones that date back to the 17th century, and they have living spaces. And what was neat about it is there's one of the spaces that they reserved is the Delgado tinsmith shop. And that belongs to any Delgado family member who's still doing tin. And Jason, for each one of these shows, he'll go to Las Golondrinas. He's in the shop, in their little store. He has a lot of material in his store, and he goes there, and he can use that as long as there are members of the family Delgado. They have this little shop assigned to them, and it's their little tin shop. And I did a series of videos with Jason. I don't have the picture handy. But I happened to be visiting at a point where Jason was in his Spanish colonial outfit, and he's very dashing. He's got the red sash and everything. And and there was a little girl talking to him. And I stepped back as far as I could. And the room is lit only by window light and candles, so there wasn't a lot of light. And I had to hold steady because I didn't have a tripod or even a monopod with me. And I took this shot. It was the most beautiful shot of Jason talking to this little cute little blonde girl as she reached up to touch one of the objects. And that was what we put on the cover of the DVD that he made on his work. So, but that was taken in that shop. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is if you ever get to Santa Fe, during the months of March through October, see if you can find a day where you can go out to visit them, even if it's not a festival day. Just go visit it, and they dress in costume, and they behave in costume. Once you leave the office area, there's no electricity. There's all the buildings are lit by candlelight, and you'll walk into one of the areas and they'll be weaving, or they'll be colcha stitching, or doing one of the other Spanish colonial arts. And a lot of our friends who are Spanish colonial artists will be there doing their arts. So Rancho de las Golondrinas, not 12 miles as the crow flies, or is it 15 miles as the crow flies from San Lazaro. And Lazaro is Spanish for Lazarus, Saint Lazarus. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of things. So
you're going to have to look at the screen sometimes. I keep
okay, I'm sorry.
You never look at them.
Brian Gates says, thanks for sharing, Toby. Good video to save for future reference. Hope to be in Santa Fe next year. Please, Brian, let us know if you're around. That's pretty cool, Toby. I've been to New Mexico I haven't been to New Mexico since I was a kid. My youngest sister was born in Albuquerque. I almost said Abiquiu. Okay, so let's go back to full screen for just a moment, because I want to share some books. So this is the first one I want to share. It's called Spirit of the Art. And I had a dickens of a time finding it.
Spirits in the Art.
Spirits in the Art. Spirits in the Art. And the subtitle is From the Plains and Southwest Indian Cultures. And it was written by a gentleman whose name is James A. Hansen. It was published in 1994. The reason I was interested in this is that while I was going through the auction, as the auction was going on, as they described each of the lots, at the bottom of each of the pictures that they were in, on which they were describing the lot, there was a reference, and it said James A. Hansen, 1994, plate 68, page 70, whatever. And so this was just all Forrest Fenn's work that was being referred. And I would say that more than half of them had that James A. Hansen citation in them. And it was used as a way to establish part of the provenance, because Hansen described each of the pieces in great detail. So I wanted to get to the book, and then I haven't gone through all of them, but this was the 3 or 4 pages dedicated to the objects at San Lazaro, where he talked about them. And of course, you know by now that some of those objects ended up in the auction, and you can see them. These 2 examples of San Lazaro pottery did indeed end up in the auction. And if you look at them on the Hindman site, it will say the page and the plate number. So this is page 148, plate numbers 149 and 150. But it was just kind of cool because they go through all the trouble and include this James A. Hansen reference as a citation for a lot of the things that were sold at the Hindman auction, including what I'm going to take this off for a second. Hold on. So
Holy says, wow, so cool. I forgot about that book. Great connection on your purchases, Toby.
So this is the inside, front, and back cover of the book. Those are all Forrest Fenn's dolls. And that shot is in, oh, I should have brought that in here. I have that book as well. I have the book on his dolls, and that shot is in that book as well, which was published about the same time, I think. I should go get it. The Henson book or the dolls book?
I think the
Henson book
Henson.
is a great
I
book.
think they answered that before you talked about
before
the doll book.
So it is a great book because it's all on the plains and Southwest Indian art and how they were constructed, why they were constructed, and includes things like moccasins and the pants and, bead covered knife sheaths, things like that. So it's an amazing book. I suggest it. I found my copy at Abe Books. Another good reference book is, this was written by Rick Hajovsky, and let me see if I can get a date. I want to make sure I have the date right. It was written after The Secrets of San Lazaro. And after Forrest, so this was 2010, copyright 2010. And the reason Rick wrote it is because after Forrest had finished with the very serious excavation, the time that he was investing in excavation of San Lazaro, some students found 2 additional kivas underground. And a kiva is a wonderful place to excavate because it's used as a ceremonial space. It is used as a party space. It is used to store relics, things like that. But the nice thing about Rick's book is he has a lot of plates of the objects that were found at San Lazaro, and especially in the 2 kivas. So this one is hard to find. I think Ben looked it up, and it was $500 on Amazon, something like that. But you can find used versions. I got this one for around 165 at and it's new. It was at Abe Books, which is where I get my used books. And I think I paid $165 for it. So it's hard to get, but it's worth it if you can find it. And then, of course, there's the creme de la creme, and that is The Secrets of San Lazaro by Forrest Fenn. And this is interesting. They were all numbered and signed. So I'll show you on here. I didn't have to ask him to sign it as they published them. I think they published 2,000 copies. It was another one of Forrest's limited editions. And this one is number 1749 of 2000. And Forrest signed all of them. Now, again, Ben was looking on Amazon, and there was a copy on there for $500. But if you want one of them, you should be able to go to Collected Works, and because the last time I was there, I saw copies of them on the shelf, and they charge like $100. Every book that I bought there anytime recently has been $100. So, and they always tell you it's $100, as if they need to check in advance whether or not you can afford it. It is $100. Well, I'll take 2 then.
You're so silly.
Like that. The other cool thing about the Secrets of San Lazaro is he wrote it during that period where the treasure chest wasn't the most important thing on his mind. Excavating this place was. And so it's written in his voice. It is very different. So when you finish reading The Thrill of the Chase, you kind of are left with a man who doesn't have a college education, kind of a he's an easygoing guy, just kind of oh shucks kind of guy, and he's that more humble. I don't want to say humble. Humble's not the right word. More reserved Forrest Fenn, and he was talking about his treasure chest and his life. And you walked away from that going, that's a good old boy, Well, when you read The Secrets of San Lazaro, you get a different perspective of him. He is still kind of the good old boy, and he still may not have the college education that some of the archaeologists that work with him and don't like him have. But he's a more knowledgeable about this particular topic. So it's the Forrest Fenn who happens to be an expert in the excavation of this particular ancient Pueblo. And he says, I wrote this book so that people like me could understand it. Right? He said, I didn't write this for the archaeologists. I didn't even, he did have some archaeologists write a little bit in the back. There's 2 archaeologists that he hired to write the last section, which is all about the pottery. And they do an amazing job of it. But listen, I want to read just a little bit and tell me if this sounds like the Forrest Fenn in The Thrill of the Chase. This is on perishable objects. It is always unusual to find artifacts that have been made from perishable materials in ruins that are constantly exposed to the elements. So we feel fortunate to have discovered as many as we have. My guess is that if you could have taken a stroll through the plazas and looked up at the roofs of various room blocks at San Lazaro during the height of their occupation, you would have seen thousands of biodegradable objects. Undoubtedly, you would have noticed bows and arrows, planting sticks, feathers of all kinds, woven garments and blankets, various foodstuffs such as corn, beans, and squash, wooden ritual objects, ladders, ropes, children's toys, rabbit nests and snares, and a constellation of other objects that inhabitants used in their daily activities. By contrast, the artifacts pictured in this book were made mostly from very durable materials such as bone, clay, and rock. Unfortunately, they represent a very small part of the overall picture. And to me, as I was reading it, it sounded a little bit more soulful in terms of his respect for the archaeology and what he was doing, but a little bit more. I don't want to say educated; it's not the right word. A little bit more knowledgeable of. He's very confident. His language is very confident. He knows what he's talking about. There is no doubt. Every once in a while, all of the books after, not including The Thrill of the Chase, you always heard a voice that was a little bit not as confident as the Forrest Fenn that we knew was a multimillionaire gallery owner. You know, this one comes off as very, very confident. So it's a very different read, and it's very nice. It makes good bedtime reading. You know, if you can hold a book on your chest because it weighs a ton. Okay, so let's go to what everybody's kind of been waiting for, and I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Now, I feel confident in touching the pottery objects. They will absorb some of the oil in my hand, but I'm not going to put rubber gloves on to do this. I'll just touch them. The metal objects I will not touch simply because it will just add to the oxidation, and I don't want to take responsibility for that. I'll just I have them on pieces of paper, all right? If you can't see them, I can get a little bit closer. But, well, let me show you. So what shall I do first, the pottery or the Spanish?
Whatever you
want to answer that question? All right, let me ask the room. What do you want to see first, the pottery or the Spanish colonial artifacts? Because there's more than pottery. It's not just pottery. It's more, a lot of different stuff. Let me I'm going to add that to the stream so you can see it.
The table.
So what
you're saying pottery.
Helke is asking.
Pottery, please. Pottery.
Okay. Helke is asking, well, we're going to see them both. Gadelcon, you should have sent me your flask and I could have shown it to them. Wouldn't that been fun?
He said he got it today.
Oh, he did? Yeah, I got mine. Oh, that's right. I got mine today too. I just unpacked it real quick. All right, let's start with the pottery. So I'm going to start with what can be described as the pottery shards, and there are several of them. This one I identified. Now, eventually, I will identify them all. But this was using both the Secrets of San Lazaro and the lost kivas of San Lazaro, because they have pictures of everything and they identify them very clearly by pottery type, by object type, and by date. So this one is of the period from 1570 to, 1470 to 1515. So think about that. This piece of pottery that you and I are looking at is nearly or just over 700 years old at worst, maybe 800 years old. So this is a 700-year-old piece of pottery. The reason I was able to identify it is because it's glazed. The paint is glazed. So that isn't added. It looks like something you added afterwards when you with some, clear coating or something. But you can see that it has a glaze on it. Now, one of the things that he mentions in his book, in The Secrets of San Lazaro, is that the artists of San Lazaro weren't as good as the artists in other pueblos. Like, they didn't care. They were more, to them, it was more important to get to the pottery so it could be used to make beans and corn and calabacitas and, the things that they were eating at the time. So, what's interesting is to think like this thing, and this is one of the reasons I wanted. It could be as old as 1,800 years. It's at least as old as 700 years. So to me, that was very damn cool. When you turn it inside out, it's got that gray color, and there are some distinctions between the insides and the outsides of each of them. This is made from micaceous clay. It's a watery clay. As a matter of fact, there are folks up in the Tesuque and the north of Santa Fe, south of Espanola, that are micaceous clay potters that are very good at it. Debbie Carrillo is one of them. Our friend Debbie is one of them. So that's a piece. Now, again, I will over time, and I'll post photos maybe on my Instagram as I identify each of these pieces in terms of their when they were presented, when they were originally made, because they're all dated. The second one has more color to it. So this is the inside of the pot. You can see it's a very red color, but this was the inside. It has a curvature to it. You can see there's the curvature. It's not gonna focus that close, but that's the inside of the pot. And you can see it has a bit of a glaze to it too. So I think they were very confident in their pottery making that once they made the pot, that they could use it to cook in. And then the other side of it has very simple imagery. This looks like the top of the pot. So this right here would be the lip of the pot. And then this would be the top of the outside. And as you can see, they're just very simple, like you're not even sure what they are kind of drawings, while some of the other potters in other pueblos were making very complex imagery. The folks at San Lazaro just weren't as like, let's get this pot off the fire and start making some frijoles, mano. I don't know how they say frijoles in Tano. Then this one is one of the older pieces, and this was the outside. And I didn't realize this. So you can tell this is the outside because it has burn marks on it. So this was used for cooking, and you can tell it was used for cooking because of the burn marks. But another interesting characteristic that they had was they painted the inside. And this one is a little bit more recognizable as a bird, but he was inside the pot. And the color of the pot inside is very different from the color of the pot outside. So I thought that was just very cool. You can see the size in comparison to my hands, right? These aren't great big pieces. They're relatively small pieces, but they some of them are in either The Secrets of San Lazaro or why can't I remember Rick's book name? The Lost Kivas of San Lazaro. So this was an even smaller pot. It did have some paint lines. I was very fortunate, I think. Well, so I have to tell you a couple of stories. Number one, when we were at the the courthouse last week, I had a chance to speak to, I had a chance to speak to Shiloh. And I told him that I had purchased a couple of the lots from the Hindman auction, and he asks which of the lots I had purchased. And I said, I told him I got one of the San Lazaro shards lot, and I got the Spanish Colonial lot. And he said, oh, I selected those. I packed those two. He assembled them and put them together. So I was pleased to hear that. And then the second thing was, the second thing was there is another Hindman auction going to take place, because if you look at the one that just took place, it says part 1. So I asked him about that. And you guys may have heard me say this on Ben's show. There's going to be a second auction in September with more of Forrest's artifacts. And I guess Shiloh was at the auction, as was Zoe. They were both there. They don't know, because you bid with a paddle number. They don't know who's bidding. But they were both there to watch the auction. I said, how did you feel about it? And he just kind of smiled, and he says, we were very happy with the results. So I could imagine they sold some nice big pieces. And then the last thing, I'll tell you that story when I get to the Spanish artifacts, okay? So there was this last piece of pottery that had additional paints on it. And again, I should be able to identify this between the two books. Actually, this was the last piece. So this is the curvature. This is the inside curve. So the inside was red, and the outside was that gray brown color with a stripe on it. So the second part of the collection, of this collection, were these right here. Let's see if I can get them all in the picture. So these two are made of clay, and one of the things that, I don't know whether you can see it, but there's a slight curvature to that, right? And one of the things that they did is they recycled pottery. So if they broke a pot, they would recycle it into something else. So these two, the two larger ones, are probably what they call Whirls, Whirls. You can look them up. And they're used for spinning yarn. They add weight to the bottom of the yarn, and enable it to spin. It creates inertia, or is it momentum? It's momentum, so that the spinning goes faster. So as I said, this one is made from clay. This one looks like it was cut from rock, right? It has a very rough surface to it.
That looks like an elephant on the back.
Where?
No, on the other side. I don't know. It looks like an elephant to me. I don't suppose they'd have seen an elephant. Maybe it's a horse.
No. They would have seen a horse by that time. The mastodon, they weren't hunting mastodons this late into Native American culture. That was way, way before. But I just noticed it has a curvature too, so it might be a broken pot. But they take and recycle all their pots. I'm going to show you some more in just a minute. This one looks like a whirl, but it doesn't have any weight to it. So I'm going to move this over to this category over here, and I'll tell you more about these. So these are whirls used for knitting, and they have straight through holes. This one doesn't have a straight through hole. The implication being that it might have been a piece of jewelry because the hole is cut through at an angle, like if you were putting a piece of leather through it and cutting it in that way. The whirls are cut straight through. The holes are made straight through. So that might be, this could have been a piece of jewelry, or, and here's the other option, and I'm going to go through these. So all the Pueblo Indians, as were the Anasazi, they played games, and they found these pieces, they call them game pieces, and they found a bunch of them at the Chaco Canyon site, at the big site. And they couldn't figure out what they were at first, and then they realized they played games with them. And there are different kinds of game. They have a kind of a checkerboard game that they draw out the square on the ground, and they use the pieces for that. And then there's a basket catch game where they'll take a piece, they'll throw it in the air, and your opponent has a small basket, and they have to catch it in the basket without it, because if it hits the basket, the reeds, it tries to bounce out. So the idea is not to let it bounce out. So, but again, all of these pieces, they all have a little bit of a curvature to them. You can see, right? It has a bit of a curve. So it didn't start life as a game piece. It started life as a pot that was then broken and cut down, chipped down into a game piece. What impressed me is how fine the clay is that they use to make their pots. It's a little bit rough on the inside, but they would smooth them. I didn't get any smoothing stones, but they had stones that they would smooth them with, and part of the painting process would heat the paint. So you can see it has a sheen to it. It's got a glaze to it. So they were a little bit better than what they had. Again, so these are all square pieces cut into not square pieces, pottery pieces cut into rectangles to be used as game pieces with a little bit of curvature because they, like I said, they started life out as a pot. And they all have that same pottery thing, right? Like outside, there's one thing. Inside, there's the inside of the pot with painting in it. And I do have a couple of pieces that you can tell it's a broken pot because it does have the painting in it. So let me put this aside. So I got some more of those. So again, these are all game pieces, broken pots, and they're actually cut. They're not, pots don't break into round pieces. They break into, random shapes. So they would actually cut them into the round pieces. Again, I think this could either be a game piece or a decorative piece of jewelry because it has that hole through it. There was no need to put a hole through a game piece, and it's too small to be a whorl. So you could have put a reed string through it or a leather string through it, and it could have been a decorative piece of jewelry. But you can see all these because of the curvature. So here's one that's burned on the outside and painted on the inside. So for some reason or the other, they painted the inside of their pots. Here's one that's red clay on the outside and then painted on the inside. But what was the neatest of all was this piece right here, for me at least. And the reason why is I saw it in the auction and I thought that had to be a mistake. And here's the mistake. Shelly, can we go full screen for a sec, please? So this is page 54 of The Secrets of San Lazaro. And he's talking about how the medicine men used to work. And that little tiny piece of pottery ended up in my collection. And it's in the San Lazaro book. So I was really excited about that. I mean, it was just very cool. And it's exactly the same shape. And the painting, I'm going to guess it's a turkey. But I could be wrong because I don't know a damn thing about it. But it was cool to see that piece in the book. I had seen that picture because I've had the book for several years now. I'd seen the picture, and then I saw it in the collection, and I thought, man, I have got to have that collection at least. And that was kind of where I was. I'm going to tell you. So the collections, both the Spanish Colonial collection and the San Lazaro, this particular San Lazaro collection, were priced in the $200 to $300 range. So that's what I was hoping for. I knew they would go beyond that. So the bidding went for both of them. Eventually, the Spanish Colonial art collection went for $1,000. The San Lazaro pottery, I'll call it, collection went for $650. But they have a 25% buyer's premium, plus you pay tax, and then you pay shipping. And the simple fact of the matter is what started out as like, oh, I'm just going to spend $300, maybe $400, was a $2,100 investment. But I don't regret it. And I'm not complaining about it if I had to do it again. And if they have yet another batch in September, who knows, I might go after those as well. but it was just nice having them. So that is the entirety of the pottery. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And it was nice to see that when Shiloh assembled them, he did a really good job. I mean, he put pottery pieces in there with painting. He put game pieces. He put whorls. He put a couple of jewelry pieces in there, the small ones with the holes in it. So it was really a very nice selection. He must have at least, investment. I don't know. It was, I don't know. I think I'm probably kidding myself to think that it's an investment. It's an investment for me. It makes me happy, as Shelley says. If it makes you happy, she says. If it makes you happy, then it's an investment. So it's an investment in your happiness. All right. So then the second, actually the first lot, this was actually came up for auction before the San Lazaro choice, was the one that was, they called it Spanish Colonial Artifacts. And the difference, of course, is there's no clay in here. They're all metal, mostly iron. This is a piece of a spur, the back end of a spur. And I thought maybe at some point my uncle Miguel rode through San Lazaro and kicked his horse just a little bit too hard and threw the star on his spur. So
Is he saying, I got spurs that jingle, jingle, jingle?
Yeah. So that was the first piece. These are all pretty much rusted. That's why I don't want to touch them, because I suppose the oxidation protects them. Now, the thing that they tell you about this is don't you dare go and try to take the dust off. Yeah. So I think what I've decided to do, Huli, is there's a way to do it, and it's kind of a box frame with a glass cover. It opens like a box, and you put foam on the bottom, and then you put there's cotton batting. I don't know how else to describe it, and then you lay the things on top of it. I've seen them at what's their name? Hobby Lobby has them. So I think what I'm going to do is get one of those frames and have Hobby Lobby put them in the frame, package it together, squish them down so they're pressed against the cotton, and then I'll just hang them like they're an image or something. But I do want to have them someplace on my wall, so to display, so I can talk about them. They are important to me, and I'll put the books nearby so they'll have a reference point for them. So, but it would be, I couldn't imagine putting them away someplace, just hiding them in a drawer. So a couple of other pieces. So I thought when I first saw these, I thought they were like maybe, this one still has some tape on it. I thought maybe they were fish hooks, but if you look at them, they're probably some kind of pot holder, hang a pot from something for hanging, because of course that wouldn't make for a good, I shouldn't be touching them, but that's, they're more pot holders than they are fish hooks. I got 2 of those, and let's move those over here. I'm going to try and make it so I don't knock everything off the table here. So if you go through the book, if you go through San Lazaro, they have tons of these. And they try to decide in the conversation with the picture associated with these, whether they are picks or, needles or nails or things like that. They don't come to any conclusion. They just say they're all the same shape, although I found some things that were slightly different that I think are more nail-like that I do have in this part of the collection. But there was a lot of these metal picks that if you were sewing leather, for example, or making reed baskets, they could be useful in any of those. But you would have had to get them to Spanish, since the Native Americans at that point didn't have iron working skills. So these are the ones I think look more like nails. They look like horseshoe nails. This one right here, especially, if you've ever shoed a horse, they have kind of a strange head on them.
Shod.
Because
you say shoot, and it sounds like you shoot the horse.
Yeah, no, you don't want to shoot the horse. They're going to shoot the horse.
You're talking about your ring.
Sorry, pardon me.
I said they're talking about your ring in the chat.
You mean this emerald ring?
They're saying you got engaged.
Oh, no, I didn't get engaged. I'm not engaged. I'm not engaged to be married. I don't need another woman in my life. I have 4 daughters and Shelley. How many other women in my life do I need? I think those were nails.
You sure it's not petrified poop?
No, it is not petrified poop. I'm going to show that to you in just
checking.
a minute. No, how cute that you remembered that. Okay, and this was interesting because it's just a metal plate. You might be able to hear some of it. It's rounded, so it rounded from the inside, so it might have been part of a cup or something. But what makes it interesting is that it oxidized green, and the metal that oxidizes green is copper. So not only were they making iron objects, they were making copper objects as well. So, and copper requires more heat than iron. So they had some kind of foundry nearby, the Spanish.
So Dizzy Dean says, thanks for sharing the information about the book, Toby. I always wanted something signed by Forrest. I've made a purchase today from Collected Works, and I'm thrilled to receive a copy, hopefully.
Oh, and Dizzy, did you get The Secrets of San Lazaro? And tell the folks how much you had to pay for it, because if you go to Amazon, they'll charge you $500 for it. It's the one on Amazon or the ones on Amazon are by people who have bought them and are just selling them for 5 times what you could buy them for. So
these are petrified rabbit?
Yeah, this is petrified goat poop.
Oh, goat poop.
No, it's not.
Oh.
These are metal objects. What do they look like to you? Metal objects.
Marbles?
No.
Oh, buttons?
No.
Dice?
They're round.
Shots? Shot?
Yeah, they're bullets. Yeah. They're round bullets fired through a musket. So
Ben says, Ashley told me she bought Secrets. I hope she didn't spend $500.
She wouldn't have to. Like I said, if you go to Collected Works, you can buy it. I think you can buy it for $100 at Collected Works. They don't overprice it. They're pricey books to begin with, so they don't, overprice them. So this was fun. If anybody, I'll tell you, I won't tell you what it is. If anybody in the room can tell me what it is.
The letter U.
Yeah, it's the letter U. It stands for the University of Nuevo Mexico. Now, what is that, guys? Do you know what it is?
Apparently.
Huh? What do you think it is?
I am the universe. So maybe it's the universe. It's the universe?
It's the universe. Who said, Hooli, why do I even ask? Why don't I just ask Hooli? Because she knows everything. It's a strike-alike. Yeah, that's right. Hooli, it's a strike-alike. And the way that I'm going to pick it up here, can we go to full screen? Unfortunately, I don't have a rock and I don't have tinder. What can I fake as a rock here? I know what I'll do. I'm not going to strike this because I don't want to hurt the metal. I imagine it's iron, but still. So back in the olden days when they didn't have Zippos, they had to make fire another way. So they would take a flint, a piece of stone that made a spark, right? And they would put the tinder on top of that. I don't know about you guys, but my favorite tinder is
It's the dating app?
Pardon me?
The dating app?
No, not that dating app. Is the stuff that you take out of your dryer after you dry your underwear. Lint, yeah. So you take something like a flint and you put some tinder up here, and when you do it this way, the spark strikes up. A lot of people make the mistake. I learned this in Boy Scouts, by the way, that make the mistake. They put the tinder under the rock because they feel like they're striking down. It doesn't. The spark strikes up. So you put the tinder on top of it, and then you take the strike-a-light and you strike like that. And I'm not going to do it because it's not going to make sparks anyway. But that's what it's for. And everybody carried them. And sometimes they carried them in a little pouch because of it, and another pouch for tinder, and another pouch for the flint. So it's a lot easier now. They have what do they call them? There's a magnesium blade that you can do it with. That's a lot easier than this, but that's what it's for. That's why they call it a strike-a-light. Just kind of scratch that. Strike-a-light for making, for lighting your tinder so you can make a fire to keep you warm at night. So that's what that's for. So you can understand why, you can understand why one of the Spanish people would go to the Native Americans and they'd want to trade one of these. They'd show them how it works and they'd say, look, you can have the equivalent of a 1700 Zippo right here, in the Strike-a-light. All you need, and they had flint. I'm sure they were using flint.
Looks like a snake eating its tail.
Well, this actually thing, so this made a little hook right here, but it had holes so you could tie a leather strap to it, not lose.
Oh.
Because if you were going out in the boonies, it was one of the things that you didn't want to lose. Okay, then these are the fish hooks. They aren't very beautiful, but they would work. They've got enough of a point on them. This is a pretty good sized one here, I think. But what I thought earlier were the fish hooks were. That's when I realized when I opened them up. These are the hangers of some kind, maybe pot hangers of some kind. Very different from the fish hooks. You can see they don't have the dimension that is. But again, considering the tools that they had to work with, whether they were Spanish or Native American, that's a pretty good fish hook. That would catch fish. You tied a feather to it or put a worm on it or a grasshopper, threw it in the water, you would get yourself some trout. Okay.
I want to know where you got your ring.
Help people. I got it from my girlfriend. She wants to be engaged now. No. Where do I buy everything that I buy?
Amazon.
There you go. Bought it from
MJ wants to see the ring. Let's do a close-up on the ring. Stick it under there. There you go.
So I had to do something with that emerald that I happened to run into that I found. So I had it mounted at jewelry.tv because it was a loose emerald. Okay. Happy?
Where'd you find it?
No, I'm just teasing. Amazon. I found it at Amazon.
Oh, you found it on Amazon.
So this I found was very cool. All right. So let's guess what this is. Do you know what this is?
Chain.
Chainmail, yeah. It is a chain, but it's a chain of very thin, I've got something on my finger here, very thin metal. It's chainmail. So that came from one of the soldados, one of the caballeros, wearing chainmail. And maybe it fell off or it broke off or whatever.
Or maybe he gave a piece to his girlfriend.
Or his girlfriend, his Native American girlfriend. So chainmail. And then, and I'm going to show these together because you'll be able to tell what they are right away. So these are buckles, of course, and they're too small for belt buckles. They might be shoe buckles, but my guess is that they are more likely buckles for bridles because they were heavily made. They've been rusted, and of course, they're broken now. But at one point, they might have been on somebody's bridle or somebody's shoe, although the caballeros wore boots. So I don't imagine they'd be like that. As you can see, I'm going to put my pencil point right down here. They're not big enough to be a belt buckle. So they came from someplace else, likely shoes. Yeah, chainmail. That's right. So yeah. So Ken knows this. So this is what we use out in the field now. I have one in my emergency kit actually. The magnesium fire starter. It's very easy. You scrape some of the magnesium into the tinder and you give it one strike and it practically blows up in the tinder. So it's a very efficient fire starter. So these were the things that I thought were pretty cool. And I'm not going to put them together, but I'm going to show them to you right after another. So I thought this was very neat. It is, of course, in their case, it's a Catholic cross. And it was probably worn as an amulet or something around the neck. It probably had a ring up here at the top someplace so that somebody was wearing it. And it was as the friars, the Franciscan friars, were trying to convert all the Native Americans away from their spiritual, their version of spirituality into Catholicism, they would probably give them these crosses. And I think what I'm going to do with this, I really want to do something special with it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a casing, and I'm going to pour a casing that has a ring on it so that it can be worn as a necklace. And then I'm going to pour a small bit of what do they call it? Not silicone. What's that? The hard plastic, the stuff that hardens.
Resin?
Resin over it to protect it. Now, here's another story for you. Full screen, please. So when I was talking with Shiloh about this at the trial, I said one of the reasons I bought, because we were talking about the things that I bought. That's when he told me he had actually put these collections together. And I said, when I bought the Spanish Spanish colonial collection, when I bought that, one of the reasons I bought it was because of the metal, the Christian metal that was in there, because I wanted to do something with it. I wanted to turn it into an actual medal that somebody could wear. And he said that that's an idea I had, and I had taken two other of those pieces, and he made medallions for his sisters out of them, Sienna and Mika. And they were wearing them. And I thought that was damned cool. I said, well, I'm thinking about putting it in, and this is so Forrest Fenn. I was thinking of putting them in resin to protect them. And he goes, why? Like, no, let them be them. Let them wear out on your sister's neck, whatever it takes. It was really interesting. Of course, he has probably dozens of them that he can say why about. When they do, he can just make more. But there's a young man, he's in his 30s now, I think. But there's a man whose reaction to finding these medals, I don't even know if they're Catholic. I got a sense that they were more on the Lutheran Methodist side of things. I don't remember them ever talking about being Catholic. But the conclusion he came to was that he needed to make these medals into medallions for his sisters to wear. I thought that was pretty damn cool. That me and Shiloh had the same idea. So I'm going to do one with the cross in a kind of rectangular. You can get them at, again, Hobby Lobby, in a rectangular thing, and then I'm just going to pour resin to protect it. I'm going to protect mine because I don't have a complete collection. I don't have a San Lazaro, but here was the creme de la creme as far as I was concerned, and it was this medallion here. Now this is a button, right? You can see this is a button, and this is a button, a smaller one. But this is a medallion with a Catholic or Christian cross on it, and it's surrounded by Native American symbology right there. That's not Catholic, that's Native American. So I thought to myself, that's a beautiful combination of imagery. And so I'm definitely going to put that one in the resin, protected in resin. And you guys know me, I'm not a Catholic. I'm barely religious, but I may even wear that. So I just thought these were amazingly beautiful pieces brought together. My Spanish part with my Native American part, and really made me feel good about the purchases. And I was really happy to do it. And I would probably do it again, even though I won't be eating for 3 months. I just spent all my food money. All right. So that's my Forrest Fenn Artifacts purchases story, and I'm sticking to it. So did we ever hear who was it that said they just bought a copy of the Secrets of San Lazaro?
Ashley and somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Who was it?
That's what I was asking, because he said he was going to. Anyway, if you bought it, like I said, if you go to Collected Works, you can order it online, and I still think it's $100. If you try and buy it on Amazon, they're going to scalp you. Don't mean it. Another word. Let me think of another word. They're going to take you for $500. So in the Secrets of San Lazaro, and as a follow-up, so what's interesting about this picture right here, is that these were not discovered until they discovered the two hidden kivas They were in one of the kivas. And these are actually clay head-sized masks. They fit 112, including shipping. Yeah, dizzy. Yeah. So don't buy it at Amazon. Buy it from Collected Works. And remember, they're a limited edition. They're a numbered and limited edition. So they're not going to be there forever. Eventually, the only place you're going to buy them is on Abe Books or on Amazon for way more than you would have purchased if you had purchased it right now. Dorothy's going to kill me. She's going to get 100 orders for San Lazaro. Was Toby on YouTube?
Get rid of them. All right. Yeah. Woohoo.
Yeah. So the story with these is they were discovered as part of the discoveries that were made in Rick's book, The Hidden Kivas of San Lazaro. And they're made of clay. They're not as complete as this. This is a painting of them that Forrest had commissioned when he got as many of the pieces that he got together. And I think I don't think well, that's a good thing. I was going to say, I never imagined that we'd see Sitting Bull's pipe. We may see these at auction, but if they go to auction, they're going to be at that Sitting Bull's pipe kind of number. And
oh, my goodness.
Wow.
See anyone go hungry.
Hooli, Gadelcon and Hooli don't want to see me starve. Does this look like I'm starving, guys? Thank you.
Where's our air horn?
That was very kind of you.
Where's our air horn?
Pardon me? Oh, you want to get an air horn?
You get one.
Thank you, Gadelcon.
Yes, thank you. Very nice. Very generous.
So these full-sized clay masks that fit over the head, and they were used in a ceremony by the Bear Medicine Society of the folks at San Lazaro. So they were part of a dance. They'd wear these masks. The eyes were at the right place so that they could see through them, et cetera, et cetera. But they were part of that ceremony. And that they tell that story in here and in the Secrets. In the Hidden Kivas. So just knowing that, and he excavated them, he assembled them, he put them back together as complete as he could. So I'm wondering if we may not see those in the next auction. The sense that I get is that the family members, they may keep some of these things in the form of mementos of his work, but I think they're ready just to say, well, let's liquidate this stuff. And some of this stuff, now I should point out that Forrest, if you ever went into his den, there were little tags hanging on all the objects on the wall. And the tag said who he intended for them to go to. And he included museums and things like that. So he spread out his love to different locations because I'm sure what he wanted out of this is, to see one of those pieces in the Cody Museum or in the Museum of Native American Arts in Santa Fe, both big museums, and have donated by Forrest Fenn. I mean, he donated an entire cabin to the Cody Museum, the what's his name? Joseph Sharp cabin to the museum. And you go to the museum and they built a special place for that in the newest of the museums. And you can see it there. So I get a sense Forrest is the kind of guy that would wanted to leave stuff for his family to liquidate, but also wanted some of that stuff. I'd be surprised, for example, if we ever saw, and I've been wrong about this stuff before, the headdresses, because he had more than one headdress. So I'm sure that may go to places like Cody and the other museums that he dealt with on a pretty regular basis. So, okay, I think that's it. Yeah, is it okay?
Well, yeah, we have questions and videos to show and more fun, so don't go anywhere.
We have videos to show. Did you not play your video?
No.
Oh, dang nabbit.
I thought after we asked the question while people were thinking of it, then we'd show it. It's just kind of filler.
Oh, okay. All right. I need to go back to Brand. So did you come up with a question for
Yeah, we have
for tonight's prize?
A question for tonight.
Yeah.
And let me just put a capital J on that, and then I'll copy and paste it. Copy. Okay. So now that Forrest has passed, where did we find his car at the Museum of Science and Natural History in Denver?
Hooli, did you not see our show on that? We told you exactly where he would have parked in that show. You have to go back and look at that video.
So our question for tonight is, what is your funniest 4th of July memory?
And Shelly and I get to pick it. Well, you guys get to pick it. So
Yeah.
tell us in a chat length, how much do you get in chat? 200 characters? Yeah, in 200 characters or less, what is your funniest 4th of July memory that you'd like to share with everybody? So I wanted to share something. Can I ask a
Why
question?
is Julie the gatekeeper for all the Forrest YouTube channels? Because
Seems a
she's
little suspicious.
experienced and
She's fair.
she's trustworthy, and yeah, she's fair.
She's fair. She's
Yeah,
always been
all of
fair.
those things, and she shows up
That's
a
it.
lot. She shows up all the time. So awesome.
Lily, go look at our show. It tells you exactly where he would have parked.
How long ago was that? I don't even
We had
know.
it triangulated to the parking spot. And there are good reasons for the triangulation.
Tell us your funniest 4th of July memory.
So while you're doing that, I will share a little thing, a little ditty with you. Shelly has a very good friend that she's known for what, 20? How long have you known Grant?
I met him in 2009.
2009.
So longer than you.
Yeah, exactly. So Grant is a puppeteer, and he makes a living as a puppeteer. He travels with the Henson troupe. He does, when they need puppets in movies, he does that kind of work. But he has his own he has his own thing that started on YouTube and then went to TikTok, right?
Mhm.
And now he shares kind of back and forth. And what was amazing is, like, he had, I don't know, 200 subscribers on YouTube, and he went to TikTok, and 3 days later he had 2 million subscribers. Like, it was just amazing. He just scored it with TikTok. And the puppets that he has started with, they're all objects in the bathroom. And the one that he started with was the roll of toilet paper, and he's called Toily. You don't have your puppet with you, do you? I can't imagine that you
It's at home.
Shelly has a version. We bought Shelly a copy of Toily. Anyway, whenever he sees Shelly, he does something special. So at the end of his show, he calls people out, but he usually just says
Shouts
the name.
them out. He doesn't call them out. He shouts them out.
Shouts them out. Sorry,
It's
doesn't
two
call
different
them out.
things.
When he does it, when he sees Shelly comes in, he always does something different. He just doesn't say, shouting out, Toby Eunice. When he sees Shelly, he does this. So watch this while you're thinking about things. There we go.
To you, Shelly Carney, Livestream Coach. Shelly Carney, Livestream Coach. If you want to be coached by Shelly Carney, then go to Shelly Carney, Livestream Coach. That's free. That's free. That's just for you, Shelly.
And he is funny. His humor is, kids watch him, and they make puppet streams as a result of him. They make responses to him. They send him pictures. It's just amazing to watch what they do with him. The problem is, he's kind of an adult.
Adults watch him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His humor is adult.
It's potty humor.
He's
It's
what?
the bathroom. It's potty humor.
Yeah, it is potty humor, but it's funny. He has, let me see if I can remember them. He has one called Pasty, right?
Pasty is toothpaste. Yeah.
Right. And Loofah
Loofah.
is a loofah.
Yeah.
And there's a plunger.
Plungy is a plunger.
Yeah.
And then
Does he have
Tippy is the Q-tip.
Q-tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all these characters, and he does them all. Right. So when Pasty and Toily are talking together, and he does them in voices, and each one has its own unique voice and its own brand of humor. It's just amazing that he not only has the voice, he has the personality associated with him. So it's kind of fun to watch. He does his show. What does he call it?
The squat.
The Squat on Sundays, and he's just funny as hell. And
He
and
is.
they're all extemporaneous.
If you
Right.
if you need a good laugh on a Sunday, or just want to watch it after it's not live anymore, go to Toilet Tea Paper on YouTube.
So, and you can watch them there.
Yep.
And it's all ad lib. I don't. There is no script, right? You couldn't do it with a script.
He does the show flow.
Yeah.
What he calls a set list, because that's what artists call
Right.
their show flow. So we got one. So
Oh,
far, we got one story.
that's which one is it?
I won a medal in a 4th of July road race because another runner who would have beaten me had to take a dump in the woods. Toiletty
Oh, perfect
paper.
timing with the toilet story.
Yeah,
That's pretty. I laughed at that one. That's pretty good.
it's a good
God,
one.
can you imagine how that guy felt? We're doing a 10K, but I'm sorry. I just had to.
Dump
Shouldn't
in
have
the
eaten that
woods.
pasta last. I shouldn't have carbo filled when I carbo loaded the night before.
Any other good stories out there about the 4th of July?
Guys
That
don't
was a
have any
good one.
funny 4th of July. I guess they take it all seriously.
Oops.
What?
The other channels
Algae.
are lying.
Oh, we don't know that they're lying. They're just their show, right?
I don't know, but I like E. Helke already because this person spelled my name correctly.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
That is rare. Shelley,
this is rare.
she'll let you know when you
Somebody who
misspell it.
cares.
So in
Details
case
matter.
You've noticed that my lighting is off tonight, literally as usual, 10 minutes before the show. One of my studio lights burned out. So I went to unscrew it to replace it because, like a smart person, I have spares. But when I unscrewed it, when I went to take it out of the sconce, it brought the bottom of the sconce, the metal part of the sconce came with it. And
It
I'm
became
thinking,
one.
became
It was
one.
melded
And it
together.
ripped out screws to do it, so that like there was no replacing this thing. I tried to replace it and couldn't get it screwed back in because it literally ripped them out of the screws.
Oh,
So
no.
I've got to find another sconce like that before I leave next week. Oh, so let's talk about, since we're waiting for folks to tell us their story. So the next week there's going to be a dearth of Toby and Shelley. So normally we would have a show on Saturday, but we have a book to publish this weekend. Now, it's not one of our books. It's for one of our clients because we do that, right? We publish other people's books. And she was a little bit late. Should have had all the stuff to us by a week ago, but she was on vacation and she just let it slip. So I'm going to meet with her on Friday. I'm getting all the materials. That gives me the weekend to publish the book. So I was planning to do a show on Saturday, but I'm not. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, on Tuesday, I leave for the East Coast to see daughters and grandchildren, actually families and grandchildren. So I will be gone for a week. We decided to break it up 1 week at a time rather than 2 weeks. So I'll be spending from the 28th to the 5th. What?
7 days.
Oh, are you doing
Providing
Okay.
my rendition of sign language, which
Nice.
isn't much.
So I'll be gone for 7 days. So there will be no Wednesday show, no Saturday show, and no Thursday show while I'm gone. Unless, do you want to do the Thursday show on your own? Do you want to do any of them by yourself? Hadn't thought about that. No?
No.
Okay. So there will be no news and views, no methods and messages.
Messages and methods.
Messages and methods. Methods and messages.
Messages
Damn it.
and methods.
Until July 6th, which is a Wednesday. So this is the last you'll see of us until July. No, that's not true. We will be on tomorrow at 1:00 on messages and methods. And we're going to tell you about our favorite landing page app. It's called Marcom Robot. I just love the name. But then you won't see us again till the night of Wednesday, July 6th. All right. We'll miss you, but we'll be, and also by that time, Shelley will be back home, we think. There's a what, 90% probability?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. I mean, yeah.
Confident.
So yeah, and I will also be on Women Conquer Business on Thursday mornings. So
What are you guys talking about tomorrow?
tomorrow, coming up with content, really good content from your brain.
Into your live stream.
And then from your brain to your live
It
stream.
is original
We
content.
got another story here.
So another story.
A Texas buster firecracker tossed down the outhouse hole. The door held shut. Poot was the sound. When we let the poor kid out, he was covered with it and thereafter known as Poot. Oh,
What a nickname, huh? Poot.
oh no. Both happen to be poop stories. So
Well,
Toby, what's your favorite 4th of
my
July
favorite,
story?
let's see, 4th of July story. So one time we're planning to go to the 4th of July parade in Santa Fe when I was still
Mhm.
married to Kim,
Mhm.
and she made outfits for us.
Oh.
And for she and Sean was probably 5.
Mhm.
She made she took cotton sacks, cut them up, and made them into little, prairie style dresses with the little prairie style bonnets, mid-century prairie style bonnets for them. And for Jason and me, she made us pullover shirts that were like the American flag. The top was stars and the lower part was stripes.
Wow.
And so we were standing there watching the parade, all 4 of us just standing there watching the parade. And there was a band from the National Guard coming by. And they came to where we were standing. And the guy that was leading the band said, "Band, halt." And he said, "Left, face." And he said, "Salute." And they all saluted.
They saluted your shirts. That's so cute.
Yeah. And then
I
they,
like that.
"Right, face forward."
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
How cute
Yeah.
is that?
They saluted us.
That's an awesome story.
And Jason was probably 6. Sean would have been 5. So they were just little, but Jason and I looked like the American flag, It
Yeah,
was really
so
cute.
cute.
All right. What else you got?
Got one more here. Boots on the ground. July 4th, 2019, I was on my second Boots on the Ground, and on the way home, I learned about this thing called Fenbury. But sorry I missed that because it was the last one.
Oh, yeah, it was the last one. We were there,
Hoosers.
as was Forrest.
Yeah, I remember
So that was the
that.
last picture we got with you and Forrest.
Yeah. He had to rush over and get a picture with us.
Yeah, bless his heart. That was a good soul, wasn't he? All right, you got a favorite?
No. I mean, they're all just basic. Sometimes we go see fireworks and sometimes we don't.
All right, guys, you.
Oh,
you,
I have one. I have one.
Okay,
Wait.
go ahead.
I mean, okay. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So when we moved to New Mexico in 2005, we bought a house. It's 2 stories and it has a balcony on the, if there's a loft room, and then on outside of that, there's a balcony. And our first 4th of July, we went out on the balcony and looked out, and we could see the fireworks show for the whole city. It was just right there. It was, you could just see it from the balcony, and it was so cool because when we bought the house, that's what they told us. They said, people come from all over and they drive through the neighborhood and they park all over this, and then you can just look out from your balcony and see it. So that was the first year we never had to go anywhere for 4th of July. We just go out on our balcony and watch the
watch it there.
fireworks. And they were like right across the road from us, basically, in the park.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the funniest ones I heard. Maybe I'll just send the book to you.
Okay. It wasn't very funny, but it was cool.
It is very cool. Yeah, because I've seen your balcony from the drone.
If you want, I could say, well, and then if I had to poop, I could just go back in the house. And I can involve poop in the story.
All right, guys, which one do you think is funnier, the runner poop or the outhouse poop?
Poot.
Vote on it. Runner poop or outhouse poop. Those are the 2 funniest because they involve poop.
Oh, wait, don't forget I missed Fenbury.
It doesn't have any poop in it. Sorry.
Oh.
Right, Brian. Besides Brian's won before, I think. So we have Joe with the outhouse poop and
Oh, Mary Green had a story we missed.
oh, we did. Where?
Let me see. Somebody just said, Mary Green said a story. Oh, here it is. I burned my back outside, staircase down with a spinner. Didn't know it was burning. Thought the smoke was the spinner. Oh,
Ouch.
wah, wah, wah.
Is that on July 4th? That is not a July 4th story.
It's a
That'd be a July story.
spinner. Spinner is a firework thing.
Oh, I see. I burned my back outside staircase
Back
down,
outside staircase.
down with a spinner. Didn't know it was burning. Thought the smoke was spinner. Oh, that was you, huh? All right. So now we have two poops. We have the outhouse poop, the road race poop, and Mary Green's spinner.
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 Runner.
Spinner,
Pooter.
runner, or outhouse. Yeah. Vote, people.
Wait, they might have voted for me
Oh yeah. Then there's Shelley.
on the balcony going,
Family
Hey.
balcony realizing that she needed to go poop. I don't know. Where am I going with that?
and sometimes it rained and it was
Yeah.
cold
Yeah.
on the 4th of July.
So I do want
I
to
know
thank
there's
Fidel
no
Khan.
humor in that. It's just nice.
I want to thank
Yay.
Fidel Khan again for his nice super chat. If you do go watch any of our old videos, there's a new feature that YouTube has, and it's called Super
Thanks.
Super Thanks. Yeah,
Ah,
you can actually watch an old video, and you can do a super chat related to that old video.
the neighbor across the road was a fireman.
Conveniently,
Was anybody pooping though?
he would have come over, but he was hoping.
I have a hilarious TP story. If I ever meet any of you,
TP,
says Hooley.
a
Hooley,
TP.
you need to tell their story to Toilet Tea Paper. 'cause
Yeah, go
Hooley
visit
loves
Toilet.
that kind of thing.
Oh, hey, look what I got.
What do you got? Wow!
I got the new Roadcaster 2. I
Ta-da!
haven't installed it yet, but it's in the box, and it's here.
It's
I'll
here.
install it this weekend so that we have it for our first show when we get back.
Fancy schmancy.
And I can move this Roadcaster over to your house. So you'll have a complete studio
Woo!
with your own sound effects.
Ba-ba.
You won't have to have me play. Didn't do me yourself.
Yeah, fancy.
Okay, what else? You ready to go? We need to pick one. Nobody's picking.
I like the runner,
Okay.
but I think Hal's won before.
Pardon me?
Oh, Mary likes the outhouse poot.
Oh, see. I kind of like the outhouse poop too, but
You guys need to vote. Which one should we?
outhouse or
winner?
runner, guys. Come on. Just
Which
one
story
word. Put it in there.
wins?
Yeah, I think that's what makes it cool. Poot becomes a nickname. Like
Poot.
now on, puts a sword on his shoulder. You are Poot. Now
Forever known as Poot.
go out back and hose yourself down there.
Fireman was not home. The guy next door had a hose.
Ken says Poot. Come on, guys. Let's have a vote. We need a couple more.
We got 2 for Poot.
2 for Poot.
2 for Poot. Oh, while we're waiting, how about I give you my inspirational nugget of the
Nice.
evening?
Nice.
And this is, how do you say his name? Epictetus?
Hepatitis.
Hepatitis? Epictetus.
No, hepatitis.
Hepatitis. Okay. For
Greek
sure.
philosopher.
Okay. And he said, if you are defeated once and tell yourself you will overcome, but carry on as before, no, in the end, you'll be so ill and weakened that eventually you won't even notice your mistake and will begin to rationalize your behavior. So Epictetus says, learn from your mistakes
Learn from your mistakes.
and change your behavior so as you don't make those same mistakes again. That's what he said. He said, so's you don't make that.
So as you don't. So as you don't. Yeah, don't.
Another one for Poot. We got 3 for Poot.
Okay. I think that's going to have to do it.
All right. Who said it? Who was the Poot Meister?
Let me see. Poot was Joe Sheeran.
Joe Sheeran.
Here's what you do, Joe. Send your shipping address. Oh, you have to pick one one of the books. You can have Aunt Lucy's Christmas book, Aunt Lucy's recipe book, Livecast Life, or a Gypsy's Kiss. So those are plus the cards and coins will come with them.
So text
So
1-505-750-2744.
it just went on the screen below Shelley when she said it. So 505-750
2744.
2744. Send me your shipping address. If you include your email, I will put that on the USPS billet, whatever they call them, and they will update you every time something happens. Now, these are sent media mail, so they don't come 2 days. They usually go 6 to 8 business days. Okay, but everybody gets them eventually. It just takes a little while. Huli posted the Livecast Life course if you want to sign up for it. Oh. She did the Sendbox address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also
Or you can course.livecast.
Livecast.live. There you go.
Or is it course.HK Media Studio?
Sign up to be on the waiting list, and you can get the
Poot.
friends and family discount.
So
Poot.
from now on, we're going to call Joe Sheeran Poot.
Yeah, we're going to forget who's told us the story. We're going to call everybody Poot. Hey, Pooter.
Poot.
Brian Gates votes for Poot. Ken Oklahoma votes Poot.
All
Nobody
right.
says Poot.
I am turning
I
off.
bet next
You
week
created
they'll
a
all
monster.
sign into the show with Poot. And then
Let's
they'll
see.
have learned their lesson, just like Epatitis intended.
Brian Gates, see Mary's. Okay, we did see it. We did see Mary Green's. All right. I think that's it.
All right.
Say goodbye.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We had a great time, and we hope that you did too. We will be back tomorrow for Messages and Methods at 1 p.m. Mountain. Join us. And if you're also interested in learning about creating your own content as a content entrepreneur, join Jen and I at Women Conquer Business at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain.
And that's because Shelley's on Pacific time now.
That's right.
And my plan is for these items that the pottery items, the items from San Lazaro. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you very much. I will, as soon as I get back from the East Coast, I'll start researching those based on the 2 books that I have and see if I can put a little more character to them. And then I'll probably take pictures of each one of them. I may post them to Instagram with the details of them. So if you do have an Instagram account, you can find me at TM Eunice on Instagram. So, or you can find all my links. If you go to tunis.com, you can find all my links there. Okay.
Right. You betcha.
Good night, Shelley Carney. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.
You betcha.
Couldn't have done it without you.
That's right.
True.
You could, but it wouldn't be any good.
And we'll see you guys on July 6th. If you don't join us tomorrow, the next time we'll see you on Wednesday night will be July 6th. We'll be thinking about you, all right? Love you guys.
Thank you for joining the conversation on News and Views, an AGK Media Studio livecast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Toby Eunice. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question, and we'll consider your ideas for future shows. Share this show with your family and friends and invite them to become a member of our community. Check the show notes for links and resources, and please come back again next week.